بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجن من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يعرف المجرمون بسيماهم سيماهم فيؤخذ بالنواصي والأقدام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ هذه جهنم التي يكذب بها المجرمون، يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ ولمن خاف مقام ربه جنتان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ ذواتا أفنان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيهما عينان تجريان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيهما من كل فاكهة زوجان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ متكئين على فرش بطائنها من استبرق وجنى الجنتين دان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيهن قاصرات الطرف لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ كأنهن الياقوت والمرجان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان؟ فبأي آلاء ربكما ومن دونهما جنتان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ مدهامتان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيهما عينان نضاختان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيهما فاكهة ونخل ورمان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيهن خيرات حسان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ حور مقصورات في الخيام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ متكئين على رفرف خضر وعبقري حسان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام.
ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الصلاة خير من النوم. الصلاة خير من النوم. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. O Allah, owner of this perfect call and owner of this prayer to be performed, grant Muhammad the right of intercession and superiority, and send him to the best and highest place in paradise which you have promised him.
Oh Ramadan, month of mercy, Allah. Welcome Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan.
As winter's shadow falls, its bitter chill reaches into the lives of the most vulnerable. Their prayers, filled with hope and despair, echo across lands from Gaza to Pakistan. Human Appeal responds with its largest and most urgent winter mission ever. Our efforts, fueled by faith and compassion, aim to transform their prayers into reality. Time is of the essence. The cold is relentless, and for many, survival hangs in the balance. Your swift action can turn despair into hope, prayers into gratitude. Your generosity is a shield against the harshest winter. Winter kills. So please, donate now and be the miracle in someone's prayer. Human Appeal, where your giving becomes their blessing. Your action today is their warmth tomorrow.
Oh Ramadan, month of mercy, Allah. Welcome Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan.
Feelings of worthlessness from a worldly, from a dunyawi perspective. Every time I take an exam, I fail. Every time I try to do a business, it goes bankrupt. I just have no luck in this life. What's wrong? Maybe Allah doesn't like me. So we have 3 verses now about worthlessness of this dunya. This is material worthlessness. This also happens when you're struggling with depression, when you're battling anxiety. You get feelings of lacking confidence in this dunya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. 3 rhetorical questions. And the purpose of a rhetorical question is to emphasize what is already known, not to teach something you didn't know. To bring up a memory, you should have it. You should be thinking about it, but you're not thinking about it. Something has clouded you. So the rhetorical question, it jars you, it makes you alert. So Allah asks 3 rhetorical questions, meaning, Ya Rasulullah, how could you think that Allah has abandoned you? How could you think that you are no one, you have no worth? Look at all the blessings Allah has given you. Then Allah mentions 3 blessings. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى. Your mother died, your father died, your grandfather died. You were a yatim in every sense of the word. Yet, at every stage of your life, didn't we take care of you? Didn't we send someone else to protect you? When your father passed away, even before you were born, your mother was there for you. When your mother passes away, your grandfather took you. When your grandfather passed away, your uncle Abu Talib took you. At every stage of your life, your vulnerability was protected by Allah. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. You didn't know the truth, Ya Rasulullah. You used to go to Ghar Hira. You used to be praying to Allah to guide you. You didn't know how to worship Allah. You didn't know the details of Iman, the details of the Quran. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided you. You were not upon the guidance. You didn't know the guidance. Allah Azza wa Jal guided you. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. And we found you, you didn't have any money, Ya Rasulullah. You didn't have anything. You were poor. Your parents did not leave you a fortune. But now we gifted you. Our scholars say, Aghna here is Khadija and the wealth of Khadija. And this shows us the blessings of having a good spouse and a righteous spouse. Now you have a house. He did not have a house. Now you have an income. And Allah Azza wa Jal has given you enough that you can live a comfortable life. Meaning, what is the purpose of these 3 verses, dear brothers and sisters? Anytime something negative faces you, anytime your business fails, anytime you're in a car crash, anytime your exam doesn't pass, anytime shaitan comes and throws a thought in your head, oh my God, I have no luck. Realize there are always positives in your life that you're overlooking at that stage. Shaitan has caused you to neglect some of the biggest blessings that Allah has given you, and you concentrate on the negative rather than the positive. Ya Rasulullah, look at all of these positives that you have. How could you ever have thought that Allah abandoned you, Allah neglected you, Allah hated you? How is that even possible? At every stage of your life, Allah blessed you with all of these things. So we learn from this. When feelings of worthlessness come, when feelings of despair come, don't look at the negatives, don't look at the failures. Remind yourselves of the positives. Okay, this didn't work out, but Allah blessed me with that. Okay, maybe I don't have something, but I have something else. Always look at the positives rather than the negatives. Always concentrate on the blessings and examine them rather than what you don't have.
Oh Ramadan, month of mercy, Allah. Welcome Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are very fortunate to be in the presence of a brother from the USA. He does not need any introduction. His name is Preacher Moss. He's here on tour at the moment in Australia. It's not his first time, and I'm sure it won't be his last time either. We're very blessed to have you here. Thank you for being here, Preacher Moss.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, and I'm looking forward to an amazing interview.
I think I just wanted to start off with a little bit about your coming to Islam and your reversion and how this journey has gone for you.
Okay, first, to my Muslim family, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would emphasize that the journey is really trying to find justice for yourself, equity in your life, and the whole community aspect of it is what you want for your brother, you want for yourself, and what you want for yourself, you want for your brother. And I think that's been the larger aspect of it. Even when I was not Muslim, that was probably one of the larger defaults when I was Christian. That you saw the disparity in justice, you saw the disparity in equality, and if you took it from a context of just religious imperative, it was like, as they say in the streets, the math is not mathing. And because of that, you began to search, and you began to see these liberation struggles, these post-trust struggles, these freedom struggles. And Islam is a very, very important part of that in the history of African American, the Black church and Black revolution and Black protest liberation movements. So I grew up in the 60s. So that made me astutely aware of Black Panthers, Nation of Islam, all of that. And growing up in Washington, D.C., we were constantly bombarded with this whole idea of what is Black identity. And one of the things that wasn't talked about is what is Black spiritual identity. And one of the things that happened for me was I went down this pathway like a Muhammad Ali or Malcolm X, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Louis Farrakhan, Imam Muhammad Muhammad, and you say, wait a minute, that this religion is a freer, this is a liberating type of aspect. So you have that, man, that I want to say like the spiritual euphoria, but you have that, and I'm still on that now. That fuels me to this day.
No, that's fantastic to hear. And all these people that you've mentioned over the past and things like this that have reverted to Islam and things like this, it's interesting that you say it's liberating and things like this, and there's a feeling of freedom, considering the outside perspective. People think it's very strict and things like this. So
I think that the thing sometimes is, and there's no knock, I see a lot of people are Muslim, but you're not living a free identity.
Yeah.
So the religion is like, it's just a religion. It's not these other adjectives, it's not these other nouns that we just said earlier. And it's like, okay, well, you get up, you go, you pray. What are you doing with your religion? And that was the one thing about our community. It's like, you live in a situation with racism and apartheid and white supremacy. The normative was like, when you became Muslim, what are you going to do? There was an expectation, that. And I remember taking a shahada, and it's like, we're going to go clean up the corner from the drug dealers. We're going to feed kids. You're doing all these things that you didn't necessarily think of. I think about charity. Back when I was Christian, I was like, we really didn't do a whole lot of charity. We really didn't. And the aspect was we didn't really focus on other. And so with Islam, there is a focus on two things. One is other. And one thing that's really, really important for African American Muslims is Islam gave a very, very clear purview on the importance and just the paramount essence of correctness. Because African Americans, our whole behavior, education has always been through this lens of white supremacy. Now imagine that you get to correct yourself. You can correct yourself with pure knowledge. You can correct yourself to something that has prophetic identity, but also has prophetic tradition along with it. That people, if you think about it, you have generations of people in the early 1920s that are following Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, at an early stage, they never met him.
Yeah.
And their behavior changed in society. So it's just something to think about.
No, that's a fantastic point. I just wanted to shift over to what you do, and you know, you're in the comedy scene,
Yes.
and you're in the comedy scene prior to your reversion, which obviously had an impact as well, I'm sure, and how you changed your comedy and all this sorts of stuff. But you're using it more so now as a tool for the community, and supporting the community, helping them and educating them. And
We were protest comedy.
yeah,
We were protest comedy. Like I said, what are you going to do with it? And protest comedy was still in that space of correcting. So we wanted to correct ideas about Muslim identity. We wanted to correct ideas about Islamophobia, you know, because there's two lenses of Islamophobia. There are the people who are Islamophobes, and there are people in our community that talk about it, but you kind of perpetuate. You're just talking about it. You're not trying to end it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have that as a scope. But, you know, literally before I was Muslim, and especially afterwards, you know, I focused really on social commentary. And so if I said something about educating kids, I wound up being a teacher. If I said something about, you know, we need to, you know, clean up these corners, I'm on the corners. And it's not like I'm doing anything new. You know, there's a template that's already there. So I was like, there's already guys who did this. There's already people that, you know, the Black Panthers did the first free lunch program. So it's like, you're not doing anything new. You have all these things that are laid out for you. And they're good things. They are positively promoting, we are correcting the situation. And it's a powerful thing. It's like, you're correcting a situation that you didn't start, but I'm going to correct it, and all of humanity is able to benefit from it. It seems a very unique perspective.
no, that's amazing. With sort of, so you clearly have this big drive for community work and for, like you're talking about the corners or even teaching and things like this, and you seem to have a big focus on giving back and all this sort of stuff. Where do you think that stems from? Is that just something you've always had, or was it something that you figured when you had the platform you've got to use it? It's a responsibility, or
I chalk it up to the old heads. I chalk it up to the pioneers. I chalk it up to people like my Aunt Ruth, and you know, my aunt Duddy, my Aunt Dut, but we call her Aunt Duddy. You know, the simple things, like somebody passed away in the neighborhood. There was an informal funeral committee that would go to the house and make sure that they were okay. Do you need anything? They would cook for them, so they didn't have to worry about cooking while they were grieving. And you know, sometimes you have to pass the hat around to get somebody buried. And I'll be honest, man, up to like 16, when I was trying to help people and pitch in, we didn't know that was charity. We just thought that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, we didn't know about it. You know, fundraising. We need money. You want fundraising? We're trying to do this. Well, let's try and get the money together to do it. It was less formal. I think there was a much deeper profundity to it, because you're really giving out of what you have. You know, it's not organized. And even now, sadly, you don't see large-scale African American charities in terms of nonprofits. You don't have that. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but you know, the need and the push is always going to be there, and we try and get out and we do it. You know, yeah.
So obviously, you come from the USA, which I can imagine is similar in certain ways to us, our community here in Australia. But are there many obvious differences and things like this between the communities? Is it what are your biggest other than
less crime, bigger distance between major cities? I think the thing with Australia has a very distinct trait of being an island. And when you're on an island, you really have to work things out. You just can't jump ship. And you know, I know Australia has issues that are endemic to Australia, of course. But I think the thing is, the diversity of people is really, really interesting. And you do have a history of, I want to say, equality struggles. But in that scope of equality struggles, like, everybody has to learn from this example. You know, everybody has to understand that aspect of the Aboriginal struggles. Everybody needs to understand that. Just like in America, you have to understand the struggle of the Native American and the enslaved African, the aspect of Middle Passage and the diaspora. You have to understand these things because that's the undergirding of society. And understanding that makes it, I want to say, I feel like it makes it a much bigger discussion in terms of where they go forward and what's the pathway effectively.
No, that's amazing. Considering we're on the other side of the world and there's many similarities and many differences, but it's interesting to get that perspective. I guess now I just wanted to ask about sort of, in terms of, obviously you give back a lot, and I'm sure you've done plenty with the youth and things like this, or even young adults and things like this, from forms of community and comedy and things like this. And I was just wondering, for those who may be watching at home, who are still, molding their lives and coming into adulthood, or young adults and looking for a bit of direction, things like this. I'm sure you've seen a lot and you've been around a lot. I was just wondering your advice or your take in these sorts of matters and things like this.
It's interesting, man. We grew up with Muhammad Ali. And the story of Muhammad Ali, his generosity, his leadership, it's just not going to be told. It's so deep. There's an actor, his name is Ernest Thomas, and he talked about he was down and out, and Ali helped him and gave him some money, whatever. It's said, it's rumored, but I think it's true, that Ali kept a book of all of his deeds. He kept a book of all of his deeds because he was like so in tune with, I want to get to paradise. And they said that book was just massively thick. City of Houston, they were praying in barbershops in the 50s. Muhammad Ali came and told them, this is not a barbershop religion. And he asked them to go find a place to pray. And they found a place. It was originally Masjid al-Islam of Houston. Now it's Masjid Warth-Din Muhammad. And he took that $80,000 and gave it to him. They found a church. And that was really the footprint for Islamic City of Houston. And it spread to Texas, spread to Dallas, spread to Austin. We have to be like that. That we have to be so cognizant of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, we say we give. It's not that we give, it's that we don't give enough. We say we give because that's in our consciousness. We don't know how much Allah gives to us. So that's the competition. That, in some ways, that's a correction. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And thank you very much for that advice. And thanks for sitting with us and being a part of this opportunity.
Bro. Shout out to Australia.
No, we were very grateful. Okay, we've just got a request. We want one joke, at least one joke. I know it's like poking, but...
No, it's just like poking a bear, man.
Yeah.
It's not even a joke, man. It's just how kids are so smart. So I've been on the road, traveling a lot, and at the time my little one was pretty small, but she's starting to talk. Like when I left, she was da 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 da. Now I come back, she's like putting together little sentences, So I go upstairs and I'm just resting, and I'm dead beat, tired. Like you gotta put it on your face, like, hey. This little one comes upstairs and she goes, how was your day? And I'm like, am I about to have an adult conversation with a 4-year-old? What is going on here? How was your day? I'm like, my day was all right. She goes, how was the road? Everything work out all right? I'm like, what is this, psychology? What are you doing? You're a therapist? I'm like, what is this going on? She goes, well, Daddy, are you angry? I'm like, no, I'm not angry. What is going on? She goes, well, I just came upstairs to let you know that Mommy burned the dinner. I wanted to tell you before the smoke did.
So she's following in your footsteps.
No. That's a funny story. She actually got very emotional And I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, I don't want to disappoint you. I'm like, you never disappointed me. What are you talking about? I don't want you to be sad or angry. What are you talking about? I'm like, what is this all about? She goes, Daddy, I don't want to be a comedian. And I'm like, mashallah, I don't want to be a comedian either. But you got to accept, I'll get over it.
That's amazing. That's awesome. We thank you for your time and for everything that you do for the community through your vehicle of comedy. Until next time, we'll catch you on the next Ramadan TV episode, inshallah.
When Allah created Adam alayhi salam in Jannah, He taught him the names of everything. And so, the concept of teaching preceded the existence of mankind on earth. Soon after, humans inhabited the earth and learnt to read and write. As time passed and civilizations began to develop, institutes were established such as schools and universities that taught knowledge, curricula, books, and qualified them by awarding certificates. This knowledge led to the development of mankind and the world as we know it today. Our Islamic history is rich with individuals that pioneered some of the greatest inventions known to man, such as Ibn al-Haytham, Abbas bin Farnas, and al-Khwarizmi, as well as institutes that left a huge impact on the world, such as Baytul Hikmah, the House of Wisdom, Fatima al-Fihri's University, which was the first university established in the world, Al-Azhar University, and many more. Yet after this peak of discoveries, inventions, and advancements, our global civilization began to deteriorate, and soon enough, we found ourselves falling behind and following the world instead of leading it. Iqra College has a vision to lead in building the future as our great Ummah did in the past. To take responsibility of the well-being of our planet and humanity. Iqra College works to produce practicing Muslims that excel in education and contribute to the advancement of mankind. Join us, and together, let's build the future.
In other words, the scholars said, Allah does not give you or allow for you to get sick unless He is going to heal you. He will not allow you to go through suffering unless He's going to give you something. He will not demote you unless He's going to promote you. He will not take something from you unless He's going to give you. When a person hits rock bottom, there's only upwards. The only one who chooses to stay down is you. We all hear those motivational speeches for those of you who have got ambitions and goals in the morning, and you switch on YouTube and go to those motivational talkers. Say I can. That's what they say. You can do it. And the world is this and that. The Quran has already told you. Keep Allah in your life and you see all the doors opening. Brothers and sisters, do not be one of those who gives up when you hit rock bottom. For in the story of Musa alayhi salam is great lessons. You all know the story of Moses alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this story, and then He says that he ran away with nothing with him, no wealth, no food, no water. He lost all the kingdom and everything. He left his mother behind, his family behind, his brother behind, everybody. The hadith says that he reached a point in the desert that his shoes, they all became broken. And his feet, the skin on his feet became peeled. And his stomach almost stuck to his back from hunger. And the only thing he was eating were the leaves of trees. His tongue turned green. Allah says that when he arrived at the spring of Madian, he found there a crowd of people watering their flocks. And he found apart from them 2 women holding their flocks back. The point that I wanted to point out is to focus on Musa alayhi salam and focus on those 2 girls, these 2 ladies whose father is an old man and they are desperately in need of going and doing the stuff that men have to do, and they've got to mix with them. And at the same time, they're destitute. Musa alayhi salam is so much in need. As soon as they said, our father is an old man and so on and so forth, he could have told them, get me some help. Go and talk to him. I need help. But instead Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, on hearing this, Moses watered their flocks for them, and then returned in a shaded place and said, my Lord, I am truly in great need of any good that you might send down to me. You know, brothers and sisters, if you look at that image, any one of us will be seeking help. But Allah says that He quietly reversed into the shade and the darkness of the forest. And He sat there alone under a tree. And He lifted his dua to Allah, saying, oh my Lord, with respect, out of all the goodness that you brought down to me, I'm still in need. This is how we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of us, when we ask Allah, we say, why hasn't Allah responded to me? I said, oh Allah, give me money. He hasn't. Give me children. He hasn't. Save me. He hasn't. Cure me. He hasn't. No. The prophets, when they ever asked Allah, they said, oh Allah, with all the goodness and blessings that you have given me, meaning have a strong mindset. Always remember the blessings that you still have, because they're going to be your strength. Use them. But at the same time, request Allah's assistance, for without Him, you are nothing. And then when he called out to Allah, he had hit rock bottom, in other words. Yet, brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then brought the young ladies to him from places he never expected. And they said, our Father would like to reward you for the good that you did for us. So when he went there, we know the whole story. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened up a whole new world for him. He got married to one of them, and she was interested in him, and he was interested in her, and her father respected him and held him in high degree, and he was well protected. His self-esteem went up. Of course, it was never down, but he felt in need, but his need was fulfilled. Number one, through marriage. Number two, through a place where he belonged. And number three, through working and earning a living. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened up a door for him after he hit rock bottom. And that's what the scholars tell us. مع الشدة يأتي الفرج. With hardship comes relief. I want you to know something. The harder your life gets in something, know that the tougher it gets, the closer it is to relief. The tougher it gets, the closer it is to what? To relief. So don't worry. Don't worry. And rely on Allah and keep going.
During this great month, the month of Ramadan, many people are in desperate need of our help. Let's together support them and help them the basic needs of Ramadan.